Joining me now is Liz Harrington, the spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. So, Liz, over the past couple days, we've seen kind of a new debate taking place between the power of the states and the power of the federal government. Of course, a lot of people are calling on the president to enact a nationwide lockdown. A lot of people saying that's unconstitutional. But really, when it comes back to the issue, it comes down to effectiveness. Are states better at handling this type of thing than the national government?
Well, the beauty about our constitutional republic is that we are a diverse country where we've never been a one size fits all country. And that's what's been so great about the vision of the founders. And we've seen it really work throughout our history. Is something that works for a state like New York or a city like New York City is not necessarily going to work for a state like Nebraska. And that's a common sense thing. And I think President Trump has spoken really clear about this. When you talk about deploying the resources, obviously situations are different for different hotspots. And different situations for across this country. Social distancing is working, but we also need common sense when we do open up this country back to work. So the Constitution comes first and foremost, and that's a state decision for what they're going to do. We don't want to turn this crisis into changing the way our country works and our civil liberties and our freedom that we value so much in this country.
And so when it comes to a type of cooperation then between the states and the federal government, because that's been very much so at the forefront of kind of the response efforts, is both the federal government and the states taking their own different approaches, but them kind of relying on each other at the same time. Overall, have you seen kind of a sense of unity between the governors and the president himself, or the administration, I should say? Or do you feel kind of more of an uptick back to politicization as normal?
I think by and large, we've seen a very strong unifying moment. You've seen the governors, like in New Jersey, working, a Democratic governor, but really working hand in hand with President Trump. Very nice things to say. Gavin Newsom, who clearly the president and Gavin Newsom in California do not have hardly anything in common when it comes to the way we view politics. However, this isn't a time for politics. And I think Americans across the political spectrum agree. And that's what they've seen with President Trump. He's really deployed this nation. You've seen getting the private sector involved. Project Airbridge, which has lifted millions of supplies to areas that need it in the front lines. And we've really seen this collaboration unlike we've ever seen in a time of crisis. And that's really what's going to bring us through this. And so it's really been uplifting to see. Of course, you have the media playing politics. Whatever President Trump says, they take the opposite view. That's frustrating for a lot of us. It's certainly frustrating for Americans who really don't want to see politics playing a role in this. And then, of course, you've seen Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff coming out of the woodwork. He's finally back on TV again. And what does that mean? He's lying about the president, and he's trying to use this as an investigative opportunity, which we've had enough of Adam Schiff's lies and investigations and partisan witch hunts when he's hijacked the Intelligence Committee for his own political personal aims. When we heard Representative Devin Nunes say they haven't had a single briefing on China since last fall out of the House Intelligence Committee. That's a disgrace. And you really see this opportunity now to really work together and put politics aside. And unfortunately, some Democrats aren't going to be willing to do that.
And that is a little bit more worrisome, actually, acknowledging the fact that we're in the middle of a trade war with China. Even if this pandemic wasn't taking place, there are so many other things that are intertwined with China's policies that it seems like something we should be taking a look at. But you mentioned at the beginning there, for example, California Governor Newsom, New York Governor Cuomo, a lot of people are saying that they may be a possible 2024 presidential matchup. But then you have someone like Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan. A lot of people saying that she may be auditioning in a way for the vice presidency of Joe Biden. So I want to kind of ask about that before I let you go too. How has the Biden campaign kind of been responding to this? Are you impressed with what you're seeing on that side?
Not exactly. I think they're trying to catch up and figure out what they're doing. It took them days to get online. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign and the RNC, we were up and running within 24 hours. We were able to really transition. We're making a million phone calls a day, which is truly amazing when you think, if you look historically at how many numbers we were doing in the 2018 midterm cycle. But Joe Biden, it's interesting you mention Michigan governor, the Democrat governor there, Whitmer. She has really been all out trying to audition for Joe Biden's running mate. And I don't think it's going very well. If she should focus on her state and the needs of her state, because the going on TV and playing politics, flip-flopping on the use of hydroxychloroquine just because the president came out in favor of it. This is not the time for petty politics. And Joe Biden as well, he's used every opportunity to spread lies about the president, trying to make petty political gain out of a crisis. And that's not what we need. We need a strong leadership and bipartisan leadership. We've really seen a lot of the governors come together in support of President Trump, and that's what the American people are looking for.
Yeah, and of course, Gretchen Whitmer has taken a little bit more of an adversarial approach compared to Newsom or Cuomo, as you were saying before. So maybe that's exactly what the Biden campaign is looking for, because it's even seemed like Joe Biden is kind of setting that up to be more of an adversarial issue going into November. So I guess we're still a couple months away. A lot could happen until then, but I think that's the type of matchup we're going to see. But Liz Harrington, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.